The village still sleeps under the hush of dawn, but the story stirs restlessly onward. As the hearth smoke thins and the first embers of magic spark in the dark places of this world, Finn's journey deepens. Every path through the crooked lanes and forest edges threatens wander, danger, or both. And in the silence between birdsong and bell tolls, the pulse of legend grows louder. With his faithful hound trotting at his side, the two of them will unknowingly cross the threshold between the ordinary and the extraordinary. This is episode 2, where myth presses closer, and the cook's son begins to learn what it means to carry a heart of gold. Well, hi, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Grouch Couch. My name is Turk, and welcome back to One Guy, One Die. Today, we continue our Legend in the Mist solo adventure with Finny and Ash and his dog, Patchy. That's right, today's episode 2, and hopefully this is actually going to come out the week after the first one, so we're still on schedule, even though I did pick up a new job, which is going well, by the way, everybody. I feel like I'm getting really tan, and thank you so much for being curious about that. But that's right, we work 9 to 5s, but we still find time to play games and pursue our passions and the things that make us happy. Because if we don't do that, what else do we have, right? And I love rolling dice and telling stories and TTRPGs and books. They make me very happy. And if you are one and the same, you've come to the right place. So, YouTube Jibber Jabber right here at the top. We also have some comments that we're going to go over because you guys did leave some very helpful and awesome comments on the first episode so far. As a reminder, if you want to pick up Legend in the Mist or any other kind of books that you see me play here on the channel, please use our DriveThruRPG link down in the description, or you can use our affiliate link to Amazon to pick up these things, and it will actually help support the show. It allows me to continue getting more books to be able to play and stuff like that, so thank you so much for doing it. We also have wish lists if you want to pick up something for me to review or something like that. It's all the links are down there in the description. And I do once again want to give a shout out to Would Be Bard, the person who made the music that we are featuring here on this here series. They allowed us to use the music, and I feel like it fits the rustic fantasy vibe just so perfect. A link to their YouTube channel will be down in the description, so you can listen to their music if you want to while you play Legend in the Mist, because music is just such a big part, I feel like, of playing TTRPGs. It really helps set the mood and get you in the hype, so it's very important to have good. Also, we still do not have updated character art, but I also still want to shout out the Grouch Couch artist, Children of Proteus. Check out their link also down in the description. They have their own Twitch channel and their own comic book. It's pretty cool stuff. And lastly, of course, I don't know when I'm going to get the next episode up, so make sure to subscribe and like this video, so then YouTube might recommend you the third one when it does release. So you can make sure to get in some more comments and some awesome suggestions right away when it does show up, so I can ensure that I use them in the following video. Because I love to include you guys in the story and your amazing ideas as much as I possibly can. Because honestly, sometimes the Couch crew, you guys, have better ideas than I do. And I really appreciate you for throwing them at me. Collaborative storytelling, friends. It's just so much fun. Okay, enough of that. Now it is time to get into the comments. And we actually did some character sheet updating a little bit, which we will get into as well before we start the story. But first, let's check out some comments. You guys were very helpful. Let's look at it. The first one I want to shine some light on is actually from a commenter, Wash My Hoo-Ha. Amazing name. First of all, by the way, they're reminding us that you could actually use items straight up as tags instead of having them be some specific thing like generous spirit or anything like that. It even says that Heart of Gold in the book, it literally says bandages for you to use. So that's very important and a good thing to remember. I kind of assume that some of the tags have items that kind of come along with them, which we'll talk a little bit more while we play, but this is an important thing to remember because it's very helpful for you guys. If you're doing solo play and you can't think of a tag, you can kind of just think of an item that might follow along with that tag and assume that you always have it. And you can put that on your theme sheet instead of a general tag. The next comment comes from Greek Solo RPG. What's up, brother? Another solo role player. Check him out. This one is very important. This is the most important comment because, man, I've been thinking about this since you posted it yesterday. Although you did not particularly ask, maybe the village festival is not an annual thing. Maybe it's hastily being organized due to an unexpected visit. Maybe a small detachment of the Lord's soldiers / advisors is traveling incognito through this area, and they will be hosted for the night. Maybe one of them takes an awfully interested look at Finn's fiery hair, since it reminds them of a very specific certain someone. Now, I have some ideas about this. They could be trying to even throw this festival, this market, to show royalty that they have more to offer. They're coming through, maybe they're trying to sell some extra things to them, get some extra finances coming through the village, or it straight up could just be that the elders are hosting up these people while they're here, and we are here to provide the food for this host, right? And so very, very interesting, because then this could lead us off on our adventure. This is a very good story thread lead from Greek Solo RPG. Thank you. We also got Natural Smile, or like Good Smile, for the replacement of Generous Spirit. We'll get into what we actually did choose, but thank you so much for the suggestion. Seekity Wiked Wicked. I'm the worst at usernames. If you hang out long enough, you'll learn how bad I am at usernames. All right, Onion Kid 99 says, what is the mother's name? I pictured her looking like an actress, Catherine Keener. So what about Catherine? It's a very good suggestion. Also, the Elder. Here's an important comment that we're probably going to use here. I think she's a kindly old woman named Edith, but she's also a bit obsessed with making this one-horse town into a destination spot. This sleepy shire is too slow for her. She wants to expand the town's influence and wealth, hence the festival. Only the best bread at this festival. Right, exactly. I was actually going to use a roll chart. If you've seen my solo explanation of this game, their oracle chart is kind of like tarot cards, and I was actually going to roll for one of those to get a good description of the Elder. But we're going to use this as well, if I do decide to roll for it, because it's very, very good. Thank you so much for the awesome ideas. All right, and the mother's name we're actually going to pick comes from Jonathan Rodriguez. Marl is a good name for his mom, and it could be like Marlene, you know what I mean? But everyone just kind of calls her Marl. She's like the bakery person, and I love that a lot. That's it for comment shout-outs. Remember, guys, if you want to get your comments, talked about here on the episodes, make sure to leave down below suggestions or awesome ideas or anything else like that, because Again, I love doing this together, so thank you. Okay, before we get into the recap, I want to talk a little bit about the things that we did update on our character sheet. So I missed it in my first read-through, but reading through it again, the book actually suggests for you to take either extra items or to take a companion and to use them as a separate story theme, or to create a companion as their own character themselves and take them along with you. So it turns out me putting our dog as a whole story theme on our personal character sheet was kind of a way to put ourselves at a disadvantage. It also does specifically say that playing solo could be a little bit difficult if you're unexperienced, so it suggests that you bring a companion, which I didn't even see that suggestion, so we were already kind of on the right track. As an experienced solo player, we knew bringing a companion was a good idea. So I've actually made Patch his own character sheet, and it says in the book that we can actually allow Patch to take their own actions. They can also take their own reactions to help us out and lower status tags that we might get, which is kind of important. But also we can just call upon our dog to get bonuses to our other roles. So I included it down here in tag/fellowship. It was just a place I thought that it might fit. Again, I don't like this Foundry thing at all. I talked about it a lot in the last episode. If they ever update this, I'll do a full review on it. But for now, I don't have nice things to say, so I'm not going to do that. Anyways, added it down here as Patch. So if we ever want to call upon one of Patch's skills, he has a couple. Let me open it. He still has Protective Guardian, sees what you don't, but he also gets Fetch. It actually asks, what does you and your companion do together? And I was like, well, they probably play Fetch, which could be actually a fun thing we could do like later, like if there's an item somewhere that we see, or you know what I mean? Or like, go get him, you know what I mean? Like, Fetch Patch, like we can tell them to go and attack or anything else like that. And they still have Bound by Love. So Patch can now take their own actions, but also we can call upon these to get bonuses to our specific roles if we want to. Very fun. Now, back over here to Finian. The thing that we added instead of Patch the dog was we actually added in a destiny theme. And I wanted another way to kind of push the story forward. And if we open this up, we can see that the quest on this is that the world beyond the village is wide, and I want to see it. And it's kind of a full-on personality trait for Finian, right? We know that he's the cook's son. We know all this other stuff. But what does he want in this world, right? This is what I was kind of thinking about. And I was like, he probably wants to adventure outside of this tiny single horse village, as comments have said. He probably wants to go out and see this world. So I thought that this made sense. So Wanderer's Road is the name of the tag. I don't know why the name of tags, they're always at the top, but you can also use them as tags. So Wanderer's Road. The important one here, though, is that he knows the simple ways. So the simple ways of living while he's out adventuring. So he'll know a simple way to eat and be happy with it, or he might know a simple way to get to sleep, or a simple way to camp out. Like, he's from the simple ways of life. So he kind of knows how to handle himself in most situations, and he's comfortable only having what he needs, right? He only needs a little bit of berries or something to get him by for the night. He only needs, a small little cave to sleep in, and he'll be totally fine. And he knows how to accomplish those, which is the important. Secondly, he learns by doing. He wants to go out and do things and try things, which is very important because let's say we come upon something and he tries something and fails, we might actually be able to re-roll on that later and he'll get this extra bonus because he tried it once before and now doing it again, he kind of knows it a little bit better. So this is kind of a big tell-all, fail once, try again trait that he has. But the downfall in this is that, once again, he is naive to the world's cruelty. So he may come across some bandits and think that they're cool. Stuff like that. We also added in Mother's Bread to our backpack because this is an important story item that we're currently rolling with. That's right. Now, all that being said, I think that's all the updates. I think. It's been it's been a very, very long week. And this game has been in the back of my mind all week, just wanting to get back to it. This is my escape from the world, right? And I've just been thinking about it, wanting to come and play. But it's been a long week. So hopefully that was everything that I have covered. So I think now it's time for a little bit of a recap. We only did 2 small scenes in the last episode, but let's refresh our brains a bit, shall we? So last time on Legend of the Mist Solo, we stepped into the quiet village of Hollowmere, where smoke curls from the chimneys and the forest looms up above with secrets. A very enchanted forest, I imagine it as. And of course our story began not with greatness, but with a simple bastard son, Finian Ash and his dog. So Finn has begun his day with 1 single gold piece in his pocket, and of course, his mother's bone-handed knife at his belt. And of course, Patch, patting at his heel. Now, after giving his mother the herbs and flour that she might need for the day to help make up for a special occasion that is happening on this very day, she has requested for him to bring her finest baked bread to the Elder for some reason. Either there's a festival happening, or they're housing up some royalty, which we're going to roll on later. Either way, royalty's coming into town today. So, the Elder awaits Finian in this beautifully baked, and with that, the first turning, I say, of fate's wheel. The ordinary world here is about to meet the extraordinary, and I think Finn's journey into legend has only just begun. Oh boy, we're setting up for a story, that's right. So, we're actually going to open up the book here right away. Now, as I said previously before, I'm always going to try to open up the PDF to show you guys where I'm getting my information, to show you guys where, you know what I mean, I'm kind of playing a little bit. So, if you want to solo play this game, you absolutely can, because you're learning while we're playing and telling stories. That's the way I like to do it around here. So, the Conflict Oracle, I think, is an important one that we're going to be rolling on today. The Challenge Oracle is what it was. Because we're going to have to roll one up for, I think, the Elder, kind of see what we need to do. Because the name of the game here is to always paint a picture, right? We're going to paint out the scene. And while we're painting out the scene, if we can't think of anything to paint out the scene, we're going to roll on our Interpretive Question Oracle to help us paint out that scene. Then once the scene is painted, we need to figure out what we're trying to accomplish. And by doing so, we're going to create a challenge action oracle or a consequence oracle. We're going to create, a conflict or a challenge oracle that we're going to have to roll against. Then we're going to make our skill dice roll, and then we're going to resolve it and repaint the next scene. It's kind of the name of the game here. So looking through this again a little bit, it looks like the conflict oracle and the challenge action oracle have a lot of options for it. The profile builder here on page 250 looks the most appealing. It actually allows us to roll our dice and figure out the limits kind of on the fly a little bit. Because if we hop back over to Foundry, underneath actors right here, we can actually create our own dangers. Looks like it comes with a couple of templates if you want to use that, but this is going to be important for us because each scene we potentially might have to come up with a challenge or a danger for us to roll against to try to overcome. I really wish that I could just pay money, right? However much it is, to be able to get an actual Foundry module that includes all of the items and the potential dangers and other kinds of things. So I can just click on them and drag and drop them where I need them to go. Because right now it's empty. There's nothing here. And there's nothing. It's empty. So we have to pretty much create everything ourselves. Yeesh. But, it's free, so it is what it is. There's a give and take. Okay, but this Zeus one actually it comes with 2 sample dangers, and the Zeus one looks like the one you actually want. So its spectrums are hurt, outsmarted, or caught by angry wife. They're trying to be funny in this. If you read through it, they're trying to be. So I guess the scale is how you keep track. But anyway, the spectrums are what you need to accomplish, right? This is what you need to do to be able to defeat Zeus, potentially. You gotta hurt him, outsmart him, or get him caught. But my point is, since this is the first time we are creating some kind of challenge that we must overcome, because I think the Elder, or at least something in this episode, is going to be a challenge we must overcome, we're going to actually use the profile builder. We're going to do it step by step with you so you can kind of see how I do it. In the future, I might not do it step by step by step, I'll make them and then summarize them as I usually would do, but I want you to know how to do it as well if you want to play this yourself. So that's the important. But one thing I will say, if you want to play a more fast-paced way, I think if I wasn't, teaching while I play, I'd probably just come up with like, oh, the elder, I just roll a d6 and be like, okay, we need to inflict a d6 amount of power towards them, one way or the other, to be able to achieve this threat. And I would just roll a d6. For example, that's a 5, which is super tough, but I'd be like, okay, to be able to convince this elder to let us get through, we need to persuade them a few times. We need to get up to power 5 to be able to allow them to, let us do the right. But before we get to the elder, I think it's been enough jibber jabber. It's time to set up our first scene and do our first description. And as I said previously, this is rustic fantasy. So describing out these scenes and thinking about all the small details is kind of an important part of this system. So let's begin. Finn has his first task of the day, and I believe he steps out of the bakery, the warmth of the oven still kind of clinging to his clothes from the inside, and as he steps out, the cool morning air kind of hits his face once again, and Hollowmere greets him. I think the village is finally starting to come awake this morning. The wheels of carts pass through squelching puddles, and he can see the roofs sagging under moss and rainwear. I think as he begins to walk, Patch trots right at his heel, his ears flickering at every sound. There's clops of hooves in the distance and the gossip of washerwomen as they talk about what their husbands have been doing. And I think the faint toll of the bell still chimes in the distance. The path to the elder's house probably winds through the heart of Hollowmere. Children are going to dart past him, playing with sticks for swords, and their laughter just echoing off of all of the buildings around him. There's a bent fence that probably guards a pen of goats that just baa mournfully as Finn passes by. There's an old well, slick with moss, that kind of glimmers in the square. And the villagers just nod at Finn as he passes by. They know him. This is a small village. They offer their warm smiles and nods and waves, and he waves back, very friendly with everyone here. Probably says hi to a couple different people as he walks. Probably a farmer at the goats was like, "Good morning, Finn. Where you off to?" And Finn's like, "I'm headed to the elder for tonight's ceremony." And they're like, "Oh, good luck, Finn." I think as he approaches the elder's dwelling, it rises probably near the edge of the village where the road brushes, I think right against the dark tree line of the forest. It's right there on the edge. And I think this building is probably older than all of the rest here in Hollowmere. This is where the Elder has been since it was very first created. There's probably some kind of squat, like timber hall built on the bones of something ancient here, and its stones are too heavy to have been lifted by the people that live here. This building might have been adopted by us, but was built by something more ancient. And its carved posts probably have marks with old weathered runes whose meaning have been long forgotten by the people who live here. There's absolutely herbs hanging, drying in bundles beneath all the eaves, and their fragrance is very sharp and earthy as Finn approaches. Small, low garden wall surrounds this place, though vines have probably climbed up a bit and spilled down into the path. And for sure, at the door of this building stands a crooked staff, wedged upright, like stuck in the earth, as if it's been rooted there. It's probably said that the elder never goes too far without their staff, but on this day it waits, watching like a silent sentinel. Something that Finn doesn't quite understand. This seems odd to him. There could be some kind of magic cast upon it, but Finn wouldn't know that. He has no idea. Finn's not very aware of the magical presence of the world, near is any other people of Hollowmere. They don't know much about magic. So the closer Finn draws, the quieter the Hollowmere city, village behind him seems to become. And as though even the birds hush their chatter here, I think as they approach, Patch might get a sense of something weird and gives out a low whine, maybe not even in fear, but in recognition that they have passed through a threshold where ordinary life ends and something older and heavier awaits. And he takes his first few steps up the porch and to the door of this ancient building where the elder resides. I think that's fun. I think that's really, really fun. See, one thing I will say for you guys playing solo, sometimes I'll just let my imagination go, and when I play silently, it's hard for me to get all that detail out. It's almost like my mouth and my mind just kind of start talking, and it just evolves as I go. So maybe that's a fun practice you could do. But also, in most situations, I will roll an oracle some kind of descriptor, especially using Mythic. I will roll a descriptor oracle before I begin my scene, and I will usually try to include those descriptors in the scene. Like, those descriptors will help guide us, which we will start doing in our story moving forward. But I just had a really fun idea in my head already for where the Elder was situated, so that's where we're at. And I'm going to try to use the descriptor oracles that Legend of the Mist provides us. We'll get to that in a bit. And you know what? Speaking of that, why don't we do that now? We have the interpretive question oracle. As Finian and Patch step into the building where the Elder is located, let's get some more descriptions, maybe about the Elder, or maybe about the situation the Elder is currently in. What is happening inside of this building as we step inside of it? Before we create any kind of challenge or anything else we must accomplish, let's see what's going on. So we have this interpretive question oracle that's going to give us a symbol and an interpretation. And these interpretations could just be single words that we're going to snag out of these interpretations. Or we could use the full thing if we want to. So this is a D66 roll. So let's go ahead and roll that now. And D66 is 2D6. Open up our chat over. 2D6, rolling it now. If we click here, we can open it up. So that is 14. The Marshal is 14. Pride. Skill at arms. Organized and orderly. A soldier or law enforcer. So this whole time I was picturing the Elder like an elderly woman this whole time. But the Marshal does not point us towards that at all. So with the Marshal tag here, I think as we step inside here, we actually see an older gentleman with like a full white beard. He's not too old, but he's probably in his 60s. He's been here a long time. And I think he inherited this role. Maybe his father was the Elder before him, or even his mother, and he came into this role. And he's obviously very proud of Hollowmere. So as we step inside, I think there's probably some shields on the wall that have the symbol of Hollowmere on them. And this being the arms tag here on the Marshal. There's probably some swords behind them. I don't think Hollomir's ever been in any kind of battle or war or anything like that, but I think he is just prepared for the worst kind of situation. Anything that were to happen. Maybe he's kind of a little paranoid, you know? But everything in here I think is very organized. And being that this isn't like a single small building. This is kind of like a little hall here. I almost picture like a bunch of tables, like a place where everyone might come to eat during a big celebration. And then at the back, there's a small little lifted like platform with a big chair in it. And I think he's sitting in this chair. And he is the enforcer of the law around here. Like, he is the one who keeps the peace. People come to him in this building to ask questions, almost like Viking style, you know what I mean? Or even to like get help with things that they need. Like maybe there's conflict that happens between the different farmers and stuff like that, and they come here to get it settled, and he kind of helps keep the peace in that way. Which makes a little bit more sense as to why Finn might be nervous. Because this isn't a nice old lady, this is the Marshal. And so everything in here is organized. Very nice and neat. The tables are clean. Everything's put away. The pictures and things on the walls are in place and very straight and neat. He keeps this area perfect. This is his place of pride. Now, I wish we do have this other roll chart, which will help a little bit. So let's see, as we step in here, what is his attitude towards Finian? Do they have a good relationship or a bad relationship? Obviously, everyone here knows each other. So let's roll another D60. And this will help us figure out our challenge later. That is a 26. Oh no, he's angry. That's not good. So as we step in, we see him sitting in his chair and he is mad. Is he mad towards Finn, or is he just angry with the upcoming situation? This brings me to a yes or no question. Now, again, question and oracles. And I was thinking about this yes or no thing a lot. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5 numbers. The answer is no. 7, 8, 9. The answer is yes. 10, 11, 12. 7, 8, 9. The answer is no, but, or yes, with an exception. And then 10, 11, 12 is yes. So that's 5 no's and 3 yeses and 3 maybes, which really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I actually want to do 2, 3, 4 as no, 5, 6, 7 as yes, no, or, but as a maybe. And then, wait, hold on. I got myself mixed up. I'm going to write it down. Okay, I wrote it down. Here's the way that I'm going to do this. I wrote it down. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5 is no. 6, 7, 8 is no but, or yes and, so maybe. And then 9, 10, 11, 12 is yes. So we have 4 yeses, 4 no's, and 3 maybes, all right? And on a 2 or a 12, it's an extreme of that version, which makes way more sense to me, and it makes it a little bit more leveled out, right? I know that in this system you're supposed to use, I think, tags that are going to help sway it to this way or that way, which makes sense to me. But since we're playing in Foundry, I'm going to have to type out those specific tags and then click on them and then do a quick roll. And you know what I mean? That's a lot. I think potentially you could say it out loud, like, well, he might be because of this, so I'm going to give it a +1. And then you roll it and then you mentally add it in there, which will make it more fast-paced, which you might do a little bit. But for now, this is the way I'm going to do it. All right. And I have it written down here. If y'all want to screenshot it, if you want to play it this way as well. One sec. Yeah, here we go. Here's what I have. No, maybe, and yes. All right. And the circles are the extreme versions of those things. This is what I'm working with. All right. Fair enough. Now we're on to our question. Is he mad at Finn, or is he mad at the upcoming situation? On a no, it's the upcoming situation with what's about to happen. And on a yes, he's straight up mad at Finn. That is in 8. All right. So we're actually looking at a yes with a caveat, or a no with an exception. On my notes, I just put maybes, because that's the easiest way for me to remember. Right, yes with a caveat. So he is mad at Finn. Maybe he's mad at Finn because of, maybe he's late. Maybe Finn, he had to go do things for his mother. Maybe he was supposed to show up earlier, like sooner with this bread, so he could figure out who was going to be possibly serving royalty whenever they show up today. And then, and I think we're going to do both as well. They're going to be doing a festival, and they're going to be putting up the people. So his mother's going to be selling bread at the festival today. And then also, she's going to be serving food to the royalty that shows up later today. The people that he's going to be housing up, right? So we're going to be doing both of those things. I've been thinking about it this whole episode, and I think that makes a little bit more sense to me. It gives us more opportunities to roll on things and play on things in this village before we leave it probably forever, right? Gives us more time to learn of the people and where Finn is coming from. So he is mad at Finn, but it's because Finn's late. So I think as Finn rolls up in here, this man stands up, and we need a name for the elder. Oh, and obviously, from the comment section, the martial elder we're working with right now, he's invited royalty to come because he wants to turn this village into more than just a single horse village. He wants to maybe turn it into a trade route. Is he trying to turn it into a trade route? That makes so much sense to me. I'm going to give it a +1. See? There's a situation where it works. This +1, that is a 10. Yes. So he's trying to turn this into a trade route to get more people to come through here to grow this village. So he's invited royalty here. So he needs a name. This marshal needs a name. Now I have so many other oracles, and I'm sad that there's no name oracles in here. But I mean, what could they include? You know what I mean? They've included a lot, so that's all right. I'm thinking about a marshal, like an elder man. Like, what is like a powerful name? Like Deacon. But what is the surname for the leaders of this village? Probably has something to do with the name of the village. So maybe this village is named Hollowmere. So maybe his last name is Mere. Deacon Mere. M-E-R-E. I think that's cool. We're going to do that. So Finian steps into the elder village's longhouse. The elder's longhouse, which is what I'm going to call it now. And he walks past all the tables, and he can see the shine of the tables from them recently have been cleaned. And he can smell the perfect little herbs and everything else in here. Like, this place is freshly cleaned. Like, they are preparing for some kind of royalty to come and visit and invite the best people to this meal to have here in the longhouse. This is a persuasion meal, and Finian is aware of it. But as he looks up towards Deacon Mere, the elder, he sees that he steps up from his chair, and you can hear the creaking of the wood as he steps up from his chair. And I think for sure Deacon Mere's smoking out of a pipe, and he steps up and blows the pipe smoke out, and he locks eyes with Finian. And I think Finn's connection to Patch, he could tell that Patch has gotten a little nervous, and he's stiffened up, and his tail is like straight because of the way the Deacon is looking down at Finian. And Finn steps forward, and he's holding this bag of bread, and Finn's like, "Hello, sir. I'm sorry that I'm late today. I didn't find a lot of herbs and fish this morning in the forest. I struggled. If you remember our first roll, right, we actually failed that roll. So that failure of that roll is actually coming now into play, even in a different scene." So he says, "Sorry, sir, but I have the presentable bread for you to try to see if you'll allow me and my mother to cater this royal meeting today, sir." And Deacon stands up, steps down. He's a little bit taller than Finn, definitely a big guy. And he gets real close to him, probably blows a little pipe smoke out, and Finn can smell it. And he goes, well, seems I've finally been graced with the present of the bastard son of the village. They sent you. Why didn't your mother come? Well, she's busy cooking food and preparing for tonight's festivities, sir. All right. Kind of mad at you, Finian. I have plans today, so much to do, and you being late this morning has put all my things on hold. Now I have other people coming in here willing to cater this occasion. Now I'm going out on a limb here to help you and your mother out, because I know that you're struggling. So let's do this thing, Finian. And he walks over to this perfectly polished table. He sits at the very end of it, at like the most vertical place of this table, and they walk over. And man, it's quiet in here when he says that. There might have been like a couple of assistants or guards, and they are just dead silent. So we can hear their footsteps on the stone as they walk over to this table. And he pulls out the chair, and it squeaks a little bit, and he sits down at it, and he goes, well, let's have it then. And Finian sets down the bag, and he unravels. It's not like a bag. It's probably like, in medieval times, probably like lamb, like skin, like they use like that leather. And so he unties it and unfolds it, and there's this beautifully cooked piece of bread sitting there. And Finn goes, of course, only the finest. My mother was up all night cooking this. I just got it from her this morning. And he goes, yeah, all right. Well, let's give it a test here. And in this situation, I don't even think I want to make necessarily a profile or challenge card. I really think I just want to make a roll here, truthfully. And this is going to be a combination roll, so we're actually going to use Mother's Bread as a +1 to this here roll. And Finn is beloved in the village, right? So we're going to go ahead and add that on there too. But also, he's a resented bastard, so we're going to get a -1 from that. But I think he's gonna look right at Deacon as he eats it, so we're going to add in nice eyes. I thought I went with something else. Did it not save? Huh, well, whatever. We'll go with that. And then also, obviously, Heart of Gold. So looking through this here, we're going to get a +3 to this roll. Does the village elder accept our offering? Here we go. We're going to do a quick roll. Oh, man. That is such a good roll. We got a 6 and a 4, so we added in our 3 power tags, plus our tag from our backpack, and then we got a -1 from our being a bastard son. And I'm also thinking now, resented bastard and bastard son are like the same exact tag. And why would bastard son be a positive tag, right? I just wanted it to be the name of the tag. So I really kind of want to change that as well. So if you guys have suggestions and comments as a positive tag that we could change this to, resented bastard will still stay as the bottom tag. But yeah, let me know. Unless, how would bastard son ever be a positive tag in a situation? I don't know. We also probably could have put the cook's son on this thing here as well. See, how would this be a positive tag? I just wanted it to be the title of the... I don't know. But we're learning, right? We're learning together. So, that's a 13. The action unfolds as expected, or better, achieving its intended goal or overcoming an obstacle. The narrator can also give you a useful tag or status. You can push your luck, accept the consequences for great success, or for +1 power to spend. Should there be any kind of status or tag that we should get from succeeding in this? Maybe we can get in we could put in a status tag of the Elder's Blessing. Yeah, like that. Elder's Blessing. And we've got it down here in our status tag. We want it to be a +1, not a -1. Oh, if you right click, it deletes it. Gotcha. Okay. Want to double check this, make sure it's working as intended. Yeah, a 4 and a 1 is a 5 plus the 2. Gotcha. Don't know why that's organized that way, but it is. Fair enough. Okay, so we get the Elder's Blessing. I feel like this might be like a Ratatouille moment. Like whenever Deacon bites into the bread, it reminds him of some freshly baked bread that he had when he was a child, before all the politics and all the nonsense of running Hollowmere came into play. As he bites in the crunch of the bread, and some crumbs fall down into his beard and into his lap, and he chews it with his eyes closed for a little bit, and he swallows, and he looks up towards Finn, and he goes, my, I was wrong about you, Finian. You and your mother sure are good at what you do. You can absolutely cater tonight's royalty. Make sure to bring more of this bread, and of course, any other food that may be viable for royalty. Use your best judgment. If this is what you have to offer, I trust you. You have my blessing. And I think Finian's super excited. This is like the best outcome he could have ever asked for. I mean, the dice roll was so good. So I think he looks right at Deacon, and he looks down at Patch, and he pets him a little bit. I think he picks up a piece of bread off the table, and he takes a bite, and he's like, yeah, it is pretty good. My mom's really good at this. And then he gives the rest to Patch, and Patch chomps it down. He's like, okay, sir, we'll see you tonight, sir. I'll make sure to let my mother know to be here promptly and on time. Sorry about the confusion again, sir. So tonight is a feast meeting, and then after there's a celebration in the market? Yes, sir, that is the plan for tonight. We must show the people of the kingdom what Hollowmere has to offer. We are perfectly situated in a place for this to be a grade A trade route and travel route. And we need this, Finian, for our village to grow. He goes, oh, okay, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And he shakes his hand and he whistles for Patch, and Patch follows him, and they exit the longhouse. I'm just like, okay, before I ask that question, let's look at our skills here. So, carry the hearth into the wider world. I think that, I want to improve it. Why? I'm hovering over, I'm hovering, and I go to move over there, and it disappears. This Foundry shit is so annoying. Okay, I have to open up the full character sheet to the wider world. Very good. So, since we followed the hearth, we're actually going to improve on that. And also, we overcame the tag of resented bastard. So we're actually going to improve on that. And I don't think in any way did we ignore anything else. So we're going to improve on both of those, which I think is the right way that works. I'll do some more research before the next episode to make sure that I'm using the improve thing. As we step out of the building, happy as ever, I think Finn's going to take a final look at this staff here. And does he notice anything weird with this staff? I'm not going to do consequences on this roll, but I just kind of want to know if he connects with it in any way, because he has unknown magic. And as he looks at it, does he notice any kind of magic? Does he connect with it in any way? And I'm also going to add in the Elder's Blessing this thing, because it is the Elder's staff. Jesus. So that's a 6 and a 5, plus the 2 makes it a 13. Because of this, I need some kind of descriptor for this. What happens? What does he see? What does he have going on? I think, first of all, he steps out and he's so excited, but right away he's like, yeah, and then like something makes him stop for a second. Like he gets a chill up his spine, and he looks over at this staff that's like stuck in the ground, and he sees like a glowing aura about it, and it gets him a little shooken up. And I want to roll on this interpretive question oracle right here, just to see if there's anything more about it that makes sense. That's a 25. A powerful steed, journeying fast, reliability and moderation, overcoming a hardship, a mount or transport. See how any of that works with anything. Let me think. Okay, well, in some situations, if you've watched enough of my videos, you know I say KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. So the head of this staff is a horse's head, and I think it's got some kind of gems in its eyes. I don't want to say red because I don't think it's evil magic. I don't want it to be kind of thought of that way. Being that we're in like a, kind of like a village, maybe they're like emeralds. They're like green, beautiful emeralds in the eyes of this staff. And it's not crazy magical, right? We have the moderation word here. So we're going to say it's a little bit magical, but not very. And I think as Finn looks at it, he sees the aura about it, and he kind of notices that the head of the staff is keeping a lookout for transports. So like Elder can be notified whenever they show up, and he sees it and he's like, that doesn't make sense. I mean, the staff is just decoration. Why would it be? But he kind of notices it and clocks that might be what it's doing, but he's like, nah, I'm just confused, right? Because magic is so rare here. He's like, that's not a thing. That doesn't make any sense. So then he continues on back into. So at this point, he was with the Elder for a little while. He can see people with carts, and as he's walking through the streets, he can see people with carts. They are carrying things to the town square where the well is, to set up their little tables. They're like over prepping for tonight's royalty to show up. There are people that are like extra cleaning the fronts of their buildings and picking up stuff to make stuff look as nice as possible. I think everyone in the village is kind of aware that we're getting some royalty to come and visit tonight, and everyone wants to impress them. And he walks past all these carts and sees the guy with the goats, and he's like, hey, and he's like, where'd it go, Finian? They went well. We're gonna be catering tonight's meal. Congratulations, Finn, that's good news for you and your mother, Merle. Thanks. And he rushes past, and they're like running through, and he's stepping in all the mud and stuff, and he gets all the way back to the bakery and opens the door, and the doorbell chimes a little bit, the bell on the door, ching-a-ling, and he steps in, and he goes, guess what? He loved it. Oh my stars, Finian, really? That is such good news. That's going to be so good for me and you to be able to do that. It's going to help fund so much for our little bakery, Finn. This is wonderful. I was thinking in my head, like, does his mother have any kind of ulterior motive? Like, is it just, money and stuff? Just that she wants Does she have any other kind of ulterior motive? Yes or no? That's 5, which is a no. She has no other kind of ulterior motive. She's just really wants to get the money to keep the bakery going. She's just excited to do it. That's great. Wholesome. We like that. And so Finn says, yeah, and we have the elder's blessing. He said he loved your bread so much. He wants you to make that exact kind of bread for everybody. And he's to bring other food too, like fish and stuff, just the best for the royalty. And she goes, well, I'm on it, Finian. I'm going to need your help today. And we're gonna bake all this bread. We're gonna close up shop. We're not gonna sell to the people tonight. We need to save. We need to get everything to the royalty feast tonight in the longhouse. And he goes, all right, Mom, I'll help you. And I think that brings it to our next challenge. So he's going to help his mother. And I kind of just want to know how well this goes, him and her. They're going to use all their last supplies to bake things. I think they figure that any extra bread that doesn't get eaten at the feast, they can then sell at the market. And I want to see how much they make and kind of how well it goes, because we could botch this roll and show up at the feast with a bunch of not great bread. So we're going to roll on it together, and I'm going to give us a +1 from our help from our mother. And we're going to get a +1 from the Elder's Blessing. I just accidentally right-clicked it and deleted it again. I think while we're prepping things too, Patch goes over to his little bed and curls up next to the hearth of the fire. He's all warm on his little rug and everything. And Finn probably pets him a little bit and says, good boy, you did great today. Of course he did, because Patch is just the best of boy. He's got a heart of gold. He's really trying hard. He's fishing and foraging. He's got skilled hands. We're adding in everything we can here. We don't have our mother's bread anymore, so I wish there was an easy way for me to just delete that. But I think that's it. We're getting a +1 from our mother in this scene. We're getting all of these +1s and Heart of Gold +1, so there's no way we can fail this. He's also weirdly lucky. We're gonna go ahead and put that in there as well. Any kind of negative. It is stressful. This is a stressful situation, and they have to cook a lot, and they're on a time limit. So let's also add in this -1 for time. That makes sense. All right, let's make us a roll. That's 2 4s once again. Ooh, we got a 14. So everything is beautiful. It works out great. We had a +5, 1 negative in there. And we got doubles. And on most other solo role-playing games, on doubles, you'll actually get like a negative event, which I really like, but they don't have negative events in this system. But after episode 5 or so, if I keep playing this, I'm gonna, maybe even after episode 3, I'm gonna implement some other things, right? Things that I would use to kind of boost the system. But the point of the first couple episodes here is to show you how to play the system without anything else and do the same, right? Enjoy it for what it is, right? But after that, I'm gonna add in some stuff, just so everybody knows. Anyways, an Action 14 is awesome. So I'm sure they have a cart out back, I'm just gonna assume, to allow them to deliver foods and stuff like that. It's probably a cart. It's probably not a very nice cart, but it's a cart his mother saved up and purchased. Okay, do we have an animal to pull this cart, or is this a cart that Finn's going to be pulling for his mother? Here's another yes/no question. Do we have an animal for this cart? That is an 8. So 8 would be yes, but does Patch pull the cart? Is it a tiny little cart that Patch would pull? That is so funny. It is the family dog, and he is a big hound. You know what I mean? He's not a small dog. He's a big hound. He's not like a huge dog, but you know what? I like that. It's a little cart, and there's a little harness that they can actually hook up Patch to, and Patch pulls this cart for us and helps us out. So we're loading up all these leather little skins full of like breads and fishes and other kinds of stuff, and it's just great. And we fill them all up in the cart, and we hook up the harness on Patch, and we get things there on time. I think we deliver through the village. We pass all the people that are going the opposite direction to the market, and we're going up to the elders area, and I think we get there probably around the time that the royalty shows up. Do they get there early? Okay, here's another yes/no question. Do we get there before them? And I'm actually going to add a +1 to this because we scored so high on our roll. But also, we could give ourselves another tag since we succeeded on this challenge, a useful tag or status. I don't think there's any kind of useful tag or status that we really need. I think our mother's in a good mood, and I think that's, yeah. Anyways, do we show up before them so we can get in the door and get everything prepped and ready to go? I'm going to give it a +1. That's a 9, which on our new chart is a yes. Okay. So we get in the door. I think we meet up with the other kind of like folks. I wouldn't call them servants, but they're definitely people that work for Deacon here in the longhouse, maybe like his other family members and stuff. And we get everything back. I'm sure there's like a nice little kitchen prepping area, and we're just loading things in. And I think this is the time to kind of build out another scene of this kitchen area. So let's talk about a description of this area. And maybe we can roll once again on an interpretive oracle before we build out this. So let's do 2d6. It's a 41. 41 is the shrine ceremony. mourning, beauty, a priest or shaman. Ceremony and beauty makes... Okay, let's describe it. Okay, Finian and his mother arrive to the elder's longhouse, and they cross this worn threshold. There's probably like a side door that they go through. They park their cart on the side, and they cross this worn threshold together. And both of them just have arms full of bread and fish and herbs, and the scent of the bakery still clings to them, showing where they're from. And in here, it kind of mingles with the other smells of rosemary and sage and the faint smoke of probably sacred incense that they're burning on the inside to welcome royalty curls from a small little burner near the doorway. Of course, Patch following at Finn's heels, and his paws are softly clicking on the stone floor as they step in, right? And inside, this area opens like past the prepping area. It opens up into, of course, the longhouse style room with the tables, but now it's a little bit different than it was earlier. The wooden tables stretch, of course, down the length of the hall, and they're already set now with baskets and clay bowls brought by other villagers, probably, and colorful cloth runners just lie draped across all the tables, each one stitched with different kinds of patterns, telling stories probably of like past harvests and storms weathered in like blessings they've potentially received. In like almost archaic ways, they're like stitched like stories of our village into these blankets. And in the center hearth, there's like a flame just already lit up and dancing slow and steady, right? But it's being tended to carefully by one of the family members, keeping it going like a heart. And Finn's mother, when they arrive in the kitchen, at the far end, there's probably a space partitioned, like by carved screens of oak, and in here there's probably already a bustle that has begun in earnest, with other villagers and Deacon's family moving with purpose, sleeves rolled up, hair bound, arranging utensils in like a rhythm. They already have like some herbs and some other kinds of things that they're already prepping as well, so there's probably like thuds of knives on cutting boards and counting tables. And we could already hear the murmur of voices. Not raised voices, but it's low and in harmony. We're talking about a ceremony here, right? So they walk in and they set down their offerings among the others that are already here, and I think Finn for sure feels this moment kind of stretch longer, because he feels that this moment is way larger than himself. This is not an ordinary day's cooking his mother. It is a preparation for something greater, an act not just of hunger, but of belonging and bargaining and coming to terms with the growth of this village. So he knows that each loaf of bread and piece of fish and herb, it's more than it's a gift, right? Woven into the fabric of this village to offer up to royalty. But it represents a small piece of beauty, the word from Oracle, put together into a ceremony of his mother and his life together thus far. This is what they've done. This is their accomplishment. And it's finally coming to a head when they get to feed people in the kingdom, new people they've never met before. And so they set down all their food and they begin prepping it and putting out pieces of bread in the baskets out on the tables and helping out with other kinds of stuff. And I think Finian sees Deacon already talking to some people, kind of planning out things, people that are on his little table that he gets help from. And they lock eyes and he nods, and I think Deacon says, "Right on time. Good job, Finian." It's like, "Yes, sir, of course." And they go back into the kitchen and begin prepping, because they know in about an hour or so, people from the kingdom are going to show up. He doesn't know who it is. He doesn't know why. Well, I mean, he knows why, but he doesn't know what's about to happen. And weirdly enough, I think that's a really good spot actually for us to stop in this episode. Which means in the next episode, the royalty is going to show up. And it's weird to me because usually I accomplish more and more story things happen in each episode. But I guess in the first one, it was kind of just like an introduction. And I feel like this is just a follow-up to the introduction, this being the second episode. This is kind of odd, but I feel like I accomplish more. But I feel like this rustic setting is really forcing me to stop and think about the smaller things that are around. Like, it feels weird to skip talking about the kids running around in the village and talking to the man with the goats. Like, it feels wrong to skip those things because of this setting. So not a lot of big arching story things are happening in each episode, but each one is full of details that are important to this setting. And I think that that's really fun for me to kind of take a series a little bit slower and, learn more about the characters and the people that we're surrounded by. So that's fun. Anyways, I'm going to end episode 2 here. It's going to go up on time. Thank goodness. Make sure to subscribe and like so you do not miss when the next one goes up. But I have questions for you guys. We're going to need to think about who in royalty might be showing up. This is going to be some questions we're going to be asking, some yes or no questions, right? This is going to be a heavy episode 3. Because if someone shows up and recognizes genetic familiarities in Finian to those of royalty, or if a person specifically shows up that has genetic similarity to Finian, he's going to learn a lot. And probably going to make him want to leave the village, explore this idea even more. So this festival could be the final day that he spends, and he's got a lot to think about. Anyways, I'm pretty excited. So leave ideas and comments and things down below. Make sure to use our links to help support the show. And thank you guys just so much for joining me on this journey. The feedback has been so wonderful, and I just appreciate you guys because I love doing this. It's such a good escape from my normal life, and I just thank you for joining. But for now, my friends, take a seat on the couch and roll initiative, at least for a little while. And my friends, I will see you next time. Roll on that, weirdos. Thanks very much for watching. Heck yeah. Oh, and also, shout out to the people on the next bit of the screen for supporting the show. And if you want to support the show, do it. Thank you.